So 9 years ago, we started fixing and flipping houses all the way from Australia. We were doing that in Jacksonville, Florida, and loved it. Had a remote team that was all on site there, and that was really exciting. But it got pretty challenging, pretty stressful. And obviously, managing stuff remotely, whilst that is somewhat easy, it's easy when you don't have problems. And when problems start to arise, managing things from another country can get super difficult. So we did a few houses and a few things there. Then we got into vacant land because people kept saying, or at the time, it wasn't overly sexy to do vacant land, but it was like people kept saying vacant land's easier, right? No termites, no toilets, no trash, no tenants, all of that stuff.
Like it or not, business, and especially real estate businesses, are dependent on great marketing. You can have the best deals, the best strategies, and all the motivation in the world, but if your marketing isn't dialed in, you will always be leaving money on the table.
And that's exactly why we're excited for today's guest, AJ, co founder of Supercharged Offers. Alicia's journey is incredible. Coming from a corporate background in HR and leadership consulting, she pivoted into real estate, flipping houses remotely from Australia to the US, then shifting into vacant land investing before recognizing a major problem. Real estate investors struggle with marketing. So she built Supercharged Offers to solve that pain point.
In this episode, we dig into how AJ and her team built supercharged offers from the ground up, the key traits that separate successful investors from struggling ones, why market cycles, timing, and adaptability are critical to business success, and how to streamline lead gen, cold calling, and direct mail strategies to maximize your deal flow.
And if you're looking to scale your real estate business and remove bottlenecks in your marketing, this one is for you.
And if you're interested in the best kept cash flowing secret in real estate, land flipping, be sure to check out our Flipping Dirt coaching program, where we teach you step by step how to build a thriving land business. No experience required. Learn more at flippingdirt.us.
Now let's get in the Champions Corner with AJ.
Alicia, thanks so much for joining us on the Cashflow Fight Club podcast. We're excited to talk all things supercharged offers.
Yes, welcome. Thank you so much, guys. Really happy to be here today, guys. I love talking about anything business, entrepreneur-wise. So yeah, really looking forward to our chat.
Yeah, us too. As a lead into that, why don't you give us an overview of your background and how maybe take us up to what you're doing today, and then we can dive in a little bit deeper. What's your journey been like?
What I will say is for those clearly listening that are thinking, where is this girl from? So I am from Australia, but I'm based over here in the States. My background before I got into doing real estate over here 9 years ago, I can't believe it coming up nearly like a decade. But before we started doing real estate over here, my background, guys, was totally different. But most of my corporate career is in human resources, leadership development, consulting, all of that corporate stuff, which I loved. But that's also what drove me into doing real estate in the US because my business partner and I at the time were like, we don't want to be tied to a job that we have to keep exchanging our time for money. So 9 years ago, we started fixing and flipping houses all the way from Australia. We were doing that in Jacksonville, Florida, and loved it. Had a remote team that was all on site there, and that was really exciting. But it got pretty challenging, pretty stressful. And obviously, managing stuff remotely, whilst that is somewhat easy, it's easy when you don't have problems. And when problems start to arise, managing things from another country can get super difficult. So we did a few houses and a few things there. Then we got into vacant land because people kept saying, or at the time, it wasn't overly sexy to do vacant land, but it was like people kept saying vacant land's easier, right? No termites, no toilets, no trash, no tenants, all of that stuff. Sometimes there is trash though. So we started getting into vacant land, which was like the next bow to our arrow, if you like. That was really exciting. And then about 5 years ago now, so we'd been doing vacant land for a few years, we just started to look at how we were running our business. And my business partner, Matt, and I, we both, as I said, we've both got corporate backgrounds and we get how business works. We just kept looking at it going, this just feels really dysfunctional because at the time we had to go to 6 different companies just to get our acquisitions marketing done. One company for our website, another one for our data, another one for our mailing, another one to do outreach with cold calling, and the list goes on. And so at the time we were like, why am I spending 20 or 30% of my time managing these suppliers when that money could be put into managing leads and getting more contracts? And so we tried to look for a marketing company out there that had all of that in one. And guess what, guys? We couldn't find it. So we found lots of companies that offered those 6 things, but none of them all together. So we thought maybe that's an opportunity in the market. So then Supercharged Offers was born. And our main business now is working with people like you guys, real estate investors across all types of asset classes, where we become their fractional marketing company, doing all that work for them so that they can focus on closing more leads and more deals.
Love it. Opportunity born out of pain.
Yep. You got it, Mike.
It's a great way to build a solution. And we certainly feel that pain. We have been down the marketing road in various aspects in our land business and our commercial real estate business. We're doing coaching now. And yeah, it can be really challenging to
Yeah.
find the right fit, both for the reasons that you mentioned in terms of either freelancers or smaller agencies taking one aspect of the overall process, or agencies. We've had some experience with larger agencies, and they just don't really deliver exactly what we're looking for as a small, nimble business and
Totally.
being based
Yeah.
in
If
business.
I'm not even going to, it makes me feel a bit ill when I think about how much money we've spent on other marketing companies to even help us as a business that are some of these big name brands, and they just weren't able to deliver. Like, they didn't really understand our niche as much as what we would have liked. So the fact that we're real estate investors that have built something for real estate investors, for me, gives a sense of assurance around the fact that we know what we're doing.
Right, right.
That's great. I'd love to dig into two aspects of this. So, one, I am fascinated by just thinking about how you guys went about building what you do today. Just whatever, whiteboarding and then incrementing, or how that kind of came about. I think every entrepreneur and business owner can have visions of solutions and things that they want to implement, but actually getting from the vision to the solution it can be very tricky. I know,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I speak from experience here. So I'd love to focus on that here in the first part, and
Yeah.
then we can talk a bit more about exactly what you guys offer and how your solutions impact
That,
small
yeah.
business.
Let me start by saying to anyone listening, there is no magic solution out there for building a business, right? If you are going to build a product or a service, first and foremost, you need to start with mindset and be okay with making mistakes, iterating, trying new things, getting feedback, more iteration. A lot of people have these visions about products and services and things they want to do. Often that initial vision and where they end up can be two very different places. So where we started was with a vision. And to be honest, it wasn't the company that we thought about now. We actually started by looking at like a done for you data and ringless voice service. And we whiteboarded that to look at that as a way to getting leads. And then we thought, if we do data and ringless voice and then we add on direct mail, and now it's a done for you service with those 3 things, what does that look like? It's okay, but people are now asking for websites and stuff too, because they want their branding and running PPC ads and getting their socials. Okay, now if we add on digital marketing, what does that look like? So where we started and where we ended up was very much two different places. But I love that,
No,
because I think that's one of the exciting things with business is when you're nimble enough to look at what the market is asking of you. And then at certain points in time, you can layer that on and grow your products and services as a result of that. So we have, especially over the last 2 years or so, I think we have changed our product and service offering suite like 4 times,
Mhm.
because people's budgets change, the market changes, how we get deals changes. So you need to be one of these businesses, I think, when you're in real estate too, that as real estate goes through a cycle, you've got to go through that cycle with your products and services with it. I think that's really important, right? So we've been able to do that. So to come back to your question, where did we start? It was basically a piece of paper and a pen, like a whiteboard, right? We didn't have a whiteboard at that point in time. We do now.
Sure. Yeah.
So we just started iterating some ideas out and just drawing some flow charts and drawing really for ourselves how we wanted our own business to run. And at that point in time, we weren't actually thinking of even building something for everyone else. We just wanted to build out a system to make our business easier. Lo and behold, like all these things, you start a business and you start to show it to some friends. We were in a mentoring group at the time and we showed it to a few people and they're like, "Oh, can you do that for me? Can you do that for us?" And then it was born from there. It's really interesting, isn't it? That your original intent might be to create something that allows more ease and efficiency for your own business, but then end up helping others. So it's really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, we all share common problems and challenges and struggles, and that's honestly being in mentor groups like you just mentioned. We run a coaching program. We like to incorporate group elements. All these things are one of the most fundamental help or benefits out of being in groups like that is understanding that you're not alone and you're going through similar challenges as everybody else, and it's okay. It's only me that's doing this, and so I think that
Exactly.
that's
Yep.
great.
And being
Mm.
able to speak truth in those groups too, right? Because here's what I find is really interesting about real estate investing and social media. People are really quick to celebrate their wins and show their successes, which I think is awesome. But
Mhm.
very rarely, and I've seen it a lot over the last few months, because let's face it, we're now in December 2024. It has been a tough year for a lot of people, really
Yes.
tough. And over the last few months, I've started to see people be a little bit more honest with, hey, this has been a tough year, or I've got this
Mhm.
deal and I simply can't find a buyer for it, or I'm really struggling with this and struggling with that. So I love the fact that, especially in vacant land, it is a real community. And certainly with all the customers that we work with now, we also create that opportunity for people to come and connect. And especially in the current climate, with a lot of people getting into real estate because they want location freedom, they want to work from home, but
Mhm.
that's really lonely. And if you're doing it on your own and you're just sitting there, it's great that you guys are providing a group and a community as well, because it can be pretty isolating for a lot of people.
Yes.
Yeah, we've experienced that. And we had a coach and a mentor, and we were part of a group maybe for, 8 to 10 months, I would say. We were heavily engaged. And then we grew out of the group. Like the group was centered around startups, and the questions and the interaction stayed at a certain level. And there wasn't really anything for us to graduate into where it was more like an alumni group or mature businesses where we were talking about different things, different challenges we had and stuff. And we found ourselves in a bit of a vacuum for a while. And I would say we have each other, which is great. We love the fact that we can work together and we tackle challenges and do all those things. But you really miss out on innovations and new things that are popping up, or market shifts, or even shared experiences and things like that. And there's a few of those out there, but it is a fundamental aspect of, I think, being a healthy and successful
I agree with you,
solopreneur,
Mike.
entrepreneur.
Yeah, I agree. And I think as an entrepreneur and business owner, when you're part of these groups, because we've been part of quite a few of them over the years as well, you've got to continually ask yourself when you outgrow the group or when the group outgrows you, and
Mhm.
then always be thinking, what's next? And
Yeah.
the rule of thumb that we use is we want to be in groups where we are not the smartest person in the room. We want to be in a group that we go, oh, we really don't know very much, because
Yeah.
that's where you get the learning from. Whereas there's so many people that like to be in groups where for reasons I don't know, maybe it's an ego thing, but a lot of people want to be in groups where they feel like they're the shining star. And that's great for an ego boost and an ego trip. But do you really learn and stretch yourself in those groups? Probably not.
Yeah, that would be an interesting topic to drill into. I'm assuming some of that is legacy workplace environment where you're constantly being judged, and raises and promotions and your livelihood in a company depends on, to some extent, being seen as a subject matter expert or a capable
Yeah.
manager or something like that. I think as entrepreneurs, it's more, as you were mentioning, it's all about learning and growth. And unless you're one of these gurus that are out there pitching platforms, right? Then you need to be the bravado, and I need to be doing X number of deals or this much or something like that. I think that's a different culture and mindset altogether. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's an interesting framework to
Yeah.
adopt as an entrepreneur.
100%.
Back a little bit of what you said, that you created a service out of a desire to make your business easier and run smoother. And for me, that's the proof of concept right there. And when you create something that totally transforms your business and your life, then you can talk with passion about the benefits of it. And it's very different when you sell those kind of services. It's for sure that it works and it's
Yeah.
been transformational for you.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that, Ligia. And what's really beautiful now, and I often cry with my customers because they've gone from haven't been able to get a deal and so overwhelmed in my business and don't know what's up or what's down, to working with us for a few months. That they're like, AJ, I've got deals in my pipeline. I'm making money. You know what? I've let this VA go that wasn't working because your team's doing X, Y, and Z for me. And just seeing that transformation, cannot tell you guys. I feel like I get proof of concept every time there's a new customer that has success, because that feeling never goes away. And I think as a business owner, and you guys would see this in coaching too, right? When you see someone put their wings on and now they're starting to fly, gee, it feels good. It's what keeps me going on the hard days, when being a business owner is not easy.
Every
But
time. Yeah.
on those hard days, I think about the people that are winning and getting success, and I'm like, let's go.
Yeah, I don't know if it's similar for you. Every time we take on new clients, there's always this apprehension and anxiety of, will the process work again? Can we get these people through to success? And over it happens. And okay, maybe not 100%, right? There's obviously people that are not going to engage. And I'm sure it's the same with you guys. There's people that aren't
Totally.
engaging or aren't providing what you need or something, but those are a little bit more the exception than the rule and the norm. And you can lean on the bulk. When you guys were scaling, and so you had a concept, a vision, a desire. You started piecing things together, and I think all successful businesses really need to be flexible and adaptable in this stage because until you validate that the market wants what you're putting together, it's really hard to just make something and then release it. And if you're not constantly getting that feedback and tweaking and adjusting, it's more probable that you're going to miss the mark than you're going to reach the masses. But once
Yeah.
you guys got a concept that, as you mentioned, other people started asking, what was your launch like? Did you guys start with some free clients or some really low paying, some beta testing type clients where you're doing things and then grow up into a larger offers? Or what was that scaling process like?
Yeah, great question. Here's the thing, we didn't have any of that. Now, if I was to launch a new product now, I would do that. And we recently launched about 6 months ago, we launched buyerfinder.io, which is a really cool tool to get your neighbor letters and cash buyer letters out in 6 clicks and 60 seconds. That product had beta testers, people that we paid for their campaigns to give us feedback in return on actual launch, etc. Very different. When we first started, we actually didn't know about launching a product because we're not product people. No, that's not our background or experience. So we were actually really fortunate. I think timing in the market is everything when you're
Mm.
launching. And we launched at a time that land was just starting to explode. And a lot of people were even leaving like single family space and getting into land. And because that's what we were doing, it was literally just a case of networking and referrals. So for the first 3.5 to 4 year, guys, we did no marketing for our own business, not for vacant land. I'm talking for supercharged offers. We didn't have a system in place to manage referrals or anything like that. We just did a great job and hoped that it all worked. And by proxy of doing that, we would just go out to customers and say, if you've loved what we've been doing with you, would you be willing to refer one or two people in your network? And they were, which was great. So for the first few years, it was referrals, repeat business, and renewing customers, which is excellent. And only 12 months ago, I would say, we actually started hiring external marketing companies to get us cold leads and
Oh,
start
okay.
to work on that as well. But what was really interesting, and as you said, you said it before, right? The person that runs the company or is the one using the product that has used it on themselves to get that proof of concept, they're always going to be the best salesperson. Still to this day, I'm still doing sales for Supercharged Offers. I'm still at the front. I've got another person in my team helping me out with sales, but I'm still the one out there selling it. Why? Number one, I'm using my own product. Number
Right.
two, I can speak with confidence about what we do and the value proposition around it. And number three, people know me. So
Yes.
at some stage, I need to step away from that. But what I found is the external marketing companies out there couldn't replicate that. We've got to get out of that because I need to start working on some other things too.
Yes.
Yeah, I really appreciate you bringing up the impact that timing can have, macroeconomic and or just industry timing. I was just trying to look up quickly, but I remember from my corporate days when I was in operations and supply chain, there was a book that came out called Crossing the Chasm, and it's about that in essence. And when you hit a market trend or insight, there's this a lot of people can just ride that wave up to product or company maturity, but then your marketing strategy needs to change when things mature and slow down a bit and it becomes a bit more. But in those early phases, yeah, you can just simply by being out there, you can ride that wave. It can overcome a lot of errors and mistakes and you can make all that up. So it's a great place to be. We certainly, I think, got into the land business in some of those early days where things were, you could find great deals. And I see a lot of legacy programs out there that still lean on the returns that were being made back in those days. I'm like, I'm not sure people are
And
making
I had no
or really
right. I think
make them
that's true.
today,
Yeah.
but we're out there. And so, but it's not 90% of the deals, it's 20% of the deals or something,
Yeah.
just because a random one comes out every once in a while. But it's definitely
Absolutely.
the different business that Lygia and I run today than when we started out. And
Yeah, totally.
2024 was definitely has been a challenging year and we've had to flex and adapt and do some things differently and try new things. And hence we're talking with you about different services. Part of our exploration has been looking at that, looking at these lead generation services that use cold calling or texting or some AI intelligence to get in there. And then on the sales side, some other things. And so it is about growing and learning and iterating.
Yeah,
And I would
totally.
say maybe now is a good time to pivot a little bit into talk about what you guys are doing as an offering, what type of companies or industries are best suited for what you offer, and we can go from there.
Yeah, awesome. Love it. So we are a done for you marketing company. So our value proposition, as I said earlier, is we want the real estate investor to focus on the moving the needle activity. That is talking with sellers, talking with buyers and doing deals. So my team will actually do all of your acquisitions activity up until the point that a lead comes through to you. So what does that mean? We're going to take your strategy, whatever that is, whether it's for vacant land, subdivision deals, single family, multifamily, self-storage, warehousing, you name it. We've done it all, right? We can do any kind of asset class because at the end of the day, it's just data and marketing. That's all.
Mhm.
So once you give us your strategy, we will implement. How do we implement? We're going to go and pull all of the data for you required for your customized campaign. We're then going to start with our lead gen team doing cold calling, appointment setting, warm transfer. We call it speed to lead, getting those leads into your ecosystem as fast as possible. We can do your digital marketing. So we do everything from branding, content, design, development, setting up people's websites, socials, all of that online stuff that these days is more about legitimacy and credibility. Okay. And then we also do direct mail. So we can actually run all those processes strategically. What do I mean by that? So think about it like a funnel. At the top, we do have a lot of customers that still like to do SMS, by the way, guys, but personally, we don't do it because it is still not compliant. If you read the fine print in the TCPA, people need to be opted into. So we're like, if customers want to go and do their own all good. So we can still work on the strategy and the data. We'll give them the data. They can run their SMS and all of that. After that's finished, we will then run the cold calls for the people that didn't answer SMS or don't have a textable number. And then after that, we'll then identify what are the areas that are performing well, certain counties, certain asset classes, certain things. Now we'll double down with direct mail for the people that still haven't reached out and made contact. So we're really trying to maximize that data list at every point that we do and really be a bit more strategic with how we're going about marketing. Because as you guys know, when you first started, probably similar time as us. When we first started, it was like a spray and pray approach. Let's just send out 10,000 mailers and see what comes back. But mailing is expensive and it's very time consuming to get that all out. So now we're really working with our customers on getting more strategic with that workflow around things. So yeah, essentially we become part of their team, offering all those services for them, doing it for them. And often then our customers just need to focus on getting those deals over the line and getting those deals sold. On the back end, so from a marketing perspective, we also have buyfinder.io. And again, that's a data and direct mail tool where you can plug in your property. It's going to find all of the neighbors within a certain radius that you can expand and contract. Also pulling all of the local cash buyers in an area. And you can send out a letter, a flyer, or a postcard with your property in 6 clicks, which is really cool. And then it sends you all the data so you can upload that to your CRMs. Yeah, we're still iterating. We're still getting more tools and processes and systems out there. But essentially, we become part of our customers' businesses, which I love.
That's fantastic. It's, yeah, hearing you talk through the funnel or the end-to-end process flow, it does fit it's a very unique business model, I would say, because there are the lead generators out there, there are the mailers, there's the cold calling services. You can buy all of these a la carte. But yeah, managing all of that then becomes an onerous task you've created another just whole set of processes to be managed. And
Correct.
then on top of that, be able to close and do the acquisitions part of it.
It's a labor of love, put it that way, because I think a lot of people might hear all those activities and go, oh, there's a lot in there. But let me tell you, when you're managing all of that for someone, there's a lot that goes into it. As you guys, I can see you nodding as I said that. There's a
Yeah,
lot.
we've had our hands on all of it, right?
Yeah.
We've worked when we started. We did it all. We were a duo, and we didn't leverage BAs or
Yeah.
service providers or even realtors.
Yep.
We were just out there hustling and doing it all and bootstrapping, as you
Mhm.
guys did when you started up your company as well.
100%. Yep. Couldn't agree more.
So you touched on many different asset classes, and I guess on the one hand, I'm surprised, but on the other hand, not so much. We've been in land for almost a decade. We've done multifamily, but more from a syndication style where we were looking at, I won't say we were shopping for on-market deals, but those were what was predominantly being advertised. Was
Yeah.
you make a connection with a CRE broker and they present you with deal after deal and you submit your proposals. But it sounds like you guys are repeating what we're familiar with in the land business in terms of going after direct owners, be them individuals or trusts or
Yep.
corporations across different niches. Like You mentioned self-storage and different things like that. And so the process just works very similarly.
It does.
You know?
Yeah, it's all a data problem. And again, what we want to do with each individual campaign is what I call market message match. So what's the market you're going after in the asset class? What's the message that needs to be sent to that audience? And how do we match that up with the data? So self-storage the process of doing the marketing is the same, but the messaging within it is different.
Mhm.
Same with if you're doing commercial properties as opposed to vacant land, process is the same, message is different. So when we're doing multifamily, we don't necessarily do those big ones with syndication because the trouble with those, not the trouble, but the disadvantage is probably the word, whatever we want to put in there, is as you guys know, getting hold of the decision maker. If it's a
Mhm.
syndication, you can't just look up the property and go, who's the owner? That doesn't exist. But when it's a small multifamily, so when it's often a mum and pop or a small LLC that owns a quadplex up to 10 doors, maybe 15 doors, or it's an old motel that can be converted into multifamily, that stuff's where you've still got a lot of opportunity, where it's not necessarily about a syndication. It's more about, is that property ripe for development or purchase or
Okay.
resale?
Yeah. Good distinction. That's where my brain was challenged a little bit in thinking of some of those larger deals that really just, it's the same in land, quite honestly. Once you get to a certain value of property, the owners are more sophisticated and they're going to go
Correct.
through realtors to broker their deals and get the maximum value they can. You're not going to find as many that are just selling their property for a fraction of what the market value is so quickly. So
Correct.
I'm assuming it's the
Yeah.
same with commercial properties. Yeah.
And on that point, we've got a lot of customers doing larger deals in vacant land. They're either looking for big deals that they can subdivide, do entitlement
Mhm.
on, or JV with the property owner that are bigger in size, but bigger in value. What we find works really good for those guys is putting our calling team on them, actually booking them into an appointment. Why
Yeah.
is that different? So coming back to market message match, a lot of these property owners know what they're sitting on. They know that it's worth a certain amount, especially if it was to be developed. So they're not going to sit around waiting for a low ball offer because that's not their jam, right? So
Yeah.
we need to make sure we're treating that customer differently to just a standard infill lot that might be an easy flip. So what we found works really well with these larger properties is we put our calling team on them, we qualify the property and the prospect, and then we say, look, your property might meet our criteria to actually do some subdivision on, which you probably thought about yourself, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, but maybe you don't know where to start. So I'd like to put you onto a consultation call where we can assess if it does meet our criteria in more detail. You can bring on your spouse to that call if you want. Let's talk about how we might get you either market or above. And that has been working really well. Why? The point of difference, putting a level of importance on the person and the call. It almost sounds a bit exclusive, if that makes sense. And that type of stuff is working really well.
I love it. Yeah. I maybe for the audience and for me, let's kind of case study this out a little bit. Let's just say Lidge and I come to you guys and say, hey, we want to leverage your services. How does the process work end to end? And I know there's not a one size fits all, but I'm assuming we would come to you and say, hey, we are interested to pursue vacant land. We're looking for acquisition costs of not more than 50,000 in Lee County, Florida, or
Yep.
whatever. Is that kind of how we would get the ball rolling?
Yep. We'd have an initial conversation. So the first thing I always want to find out when we're working with customers is what's your strategy? So what
Mhm.
deals are you going after? What areas are you going after? What marketing have you found has worked or not worked for you in the past? What's your process when a lead comes through to you? Do you have the bandwidth to handle a certain amount of leads per day? Really going through and understanding that with our customers. Then what we do is we give you an onboarding form. That onboarding form will be, all right, it's for Lee County, Florida. It's for these types of properties, these types of deals. Go for it. My team will then pull the data for that. Now, in that strategy call, by the way, we would have agreed what the marketing strategy is going to be. So do you just want to do appointment setting? Do you want to do that funnel I mentioned before where we're doing cold calling to appointment setting and then direct mail? Like,
Mhm.
what is that? So we'll agree the campaign up front. We'll go and pull the data for that campaign. We'll skip trace it. We're big on compliance. We run our data through do not call and litigator checks. Want to make sure that it's super clean. Now you will still get that data. So that data is useful because you can still send them direct mail. We just can't call them,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? So based upon whatever your strategy is, what marketing we do, we'll manage the entire process for you. And if you say to me, AJ, we want to do appointments and here's our calendar, we'll just start booking them in. If you say, actually, we prefer warm transfers, Lydia and I were available during the day. So as soon as you guys have a great lead, push it through to us, we'll take it from there. So again, we just need to agree up front. What does that look like for you? Because not every customer is the same, guys. Some people want to run their businesses and their strategies a little differently. And so we will tailor that based upon each customer.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
So you've mentioned this trio of market message match. Do you guys actively help with the messaging? If we were to come, okay, we're pretty
Totally.
familiar. We're familiar with land and we
Yep.
have some messaging frameworks that work. But if we were to come to you with a self storage project or something else, we may not know something. So you can leverage some of your experience to help craft that.
We sure can. And that goes across like messages in direct mail, cold calling scripts, appointment setting scripts, like what works and what doesn't work. And there's a fine line between that. We've had some customers come to us with their cold calling scripts and I've read it and I've just gone, no, you're going to get hung up on in the first 5 seconds. So we're changing. I think after working with all of our providers for so many years and knowing what works and what doesn't work, we can give that perspective on stuff. Now, by all means, if customers have got stuff that already works for them, great. I'm also a big believer of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it's working for you, don't switch. And here's the one thing, and you guys probably see this too in vacant land, right? We have what's called the bright shiny syndrome. People are onto something and it's working, but then they see someone else getting a little bit better results and they go, I'm going to switch to that. And then it doesn't work for them. It's maybe just do what you do. And if it works, just turn up the volume on it. Stick with the stuff. And this is the other thing with marketing. A lot of people go, and this is with any business, right? They do marketing and after 2 weeks, they're like, oh, this isn't working. No, this stuff needs time. You got to
Yes.
give any business time. And that means bringing leads into your system and giving them time, but also making sure that whatever you're putting out there has time to resonate. And especially if you're doing direct mail, right? You guys and I know that direct mail, you don't get an instant response the following week. Yes, you might get a few calls the following week, but people will call you back months and even years later. So it's
Yes.
not instant feedback. And this is why I love doing a combination of the calling and the mailing, because the calling is instant feedback. You will get leads in certain areas that will allow you to assess those leads really quickly and go, okay, we tested these 5 counties. 3 of them are awesome. We can see that there's some great deals in here. These other 2 that we've got leads through from, we don't want to do stuff there because we can see a few things in that county that we don't love. Put that aside. So calling is a great way to test market. The other thing with calling, guys, and again, not every company out there is the same with this. We can do, based upon our customer strategy, we can do calling on the front end or the back end. What do I mean by that? Front end, testing market, going deeper into existing markets, try to extract more leads from areas that you're already doing deals in. Back end, doing cash buyer lists where you've got a list of people that are buying in the area that you want to call and have someone find out what their buy box is. Following up on blind offers or range offers or any kind of mailer. So once the mailer's been sent and delivered, calling, finding out if they've opened it and read it, booking them into an appointment. So I don't want people to hear me use the term calling appointment setting and assume what it is, because it can be different and it can be used in so many facets of your business.
Fascinating.
Mm.
So, what then I would say, maybe let's look at this from 2 angles. Across your client experience, what factors really set your clients up that you see the best results and most success in? And maybe where do you see clients not having as much success?
Yeah. Oh, $1 million question. So the difference between the ones that are successful and the ones that aren't, and you guys probably see this in your coaching business too. Like, tell me if this resonates. The ones that are successful, great mindset, will always do what needs to be done in their business, will have zero excuses as to why they could or couldn't call that lead back, action oriented and systems oriented. They know when a lead's coming in, they can see that lead needs a follow up. They run their comps, they get their offers out, they follow up again, systematic, and nothing slips through the cracks. The ones that tend to not succeed, always have an excuse as to why they couldn't call that lead back, tend to not be systematized. So leads are slipping through the cracks. So they're not managing their CRM or their VA or their calls appropriately. They're scared to pick up the phone and they sometimes have a couple of fears that are kicking in for them. That's the main difference. So it really comes down to the person, their actions, their behaviors, and their mindset, because the doing of the deal doesn't change. Like no matter what asset class you go into, the process of doing the deal remains the same, right? Talk to your lead, run your numbers, do your comps, make your offer, get it out. That doesn't change. What does change is the person doing it. You
Yeah,
guys think?
we totally see it. Yes. I can usually tell on our intake calls, our exploratory calls, even when we're talking to interested people, who is likely to be very successful and who is not a good candidate. And we sometimes will even go so far as to tell people that, hey, listen, it sounds like this may not be a good fit for you or something. That being said, when we've created our coaching program, one of the differentiating factors that we really wanted to instill in our program is around mindset. And I'm happy to, I have a coaching background. Even in my corporate career, I was
Same.
loving the coaching aspect. I'm a licensed coach. Mindset, I love it. I eat and breathe it. I actually just was I was watching a YouTube yesterday, a little clip, and I can't remember the guy's name. He's a British basketball coach and he has Parkinson's now or something, but he made a statement that he helped with when he was coaching a team. He said something like, there are 1,000 excuses, but not one reason. There's all these excuses out there, but there's no reason that you can't do it. And
Yep.
it was amazing. But yeah, we see that. And I'm open to work with people to a point. They have to be willing and accept behavioral changes, right? Because it is
Yes.
about taking the action. Okay, systems is another thing altogether, right? That's about running a tight operation and doing things and not letting those leads slip through the cracks. Because in your instance, especially, um, I'm assuming, and we can get into this a little bit here now, but I'm assuming it's more of a transactional based service. Someone's coming to you. If we were to come to you, we're buying a package of services and you are providing a certain number of leads within a parameter, right? A low and a
Correct.
high, but we're
Yep.
essentially paying for leads. And so if you're then letting those leads slip away, your ROI is not going to be near as good as
Got
if you're
it.
on top of it, you're calling people back and you're closing those deals. It's fundamental to getting that ROI.
Yeah, agreed. And I would say that we're not transactional. We are more consultative because we
Yeah,
don't, yeah, we don't just implement and be like, right, over to you. I have weekly calls like you guys, even though I don't do coaching per se. I'm also a qualified coach from my corporate background, but we provide connection calls. I do regular check-ins. Our cold call team will do a weekly update with our customers. Like we're always checking in, getting a temperature check. How are you going? What do you need help with? And
right.
similarly, the people that reply and take action, good. The people that get emails from us and ignore me, that's a sign, right? So I end up calling them on it sometimes and be like, hey, I'm getting crickets from you, which tells me that something's not right. Let's chat. Because there's a reason why people do stuff. And those human behaviors are pretty consistent in those that are doing well and those that aren't.
Yeah,
Very
100%. A
true.
good distinction. I was a little sloppy with my words, but I just meant to say rather that you guys are not like a revenue sharing partner. It's more
Correct.
of a
Yeah.
pay for service. And in that way, if I, as the client, am not doing my part, then I'm going to see worse results. The leads can come
Correct.
in. I'm just not going to be doing that. So just
Yeah,
wanted to.
you got it. Absolutely. And I don't want to see people waste their money because you guys and I have seen this a lot. A lot of people have wasted a lot of money on education and coaching that hasn't got them anywhere.
Oh,
Now,
so-
that might be because of their own mindset or behavior around it. It might be that who they went with wasn't the right first program for them. But we often get people coming to us, guys, and they've spent upwards of $50,000 or $60,000 and still don't have a deal. And so I'm like, I don't want to take your money unless you're really going to put the work in now because let me tell you, I don't want you to be sitting in front of me going, oh, AJ, I've spent this much and I still don't have a deal. But yeah, like you guys, we've actually said no to some potential customers over the years that I'm just like, maybe this business isn't for you. Because if
Mhm.
you don't want to get on the phone and you want to outsource everything to everyone, you don't have a business.
Yeah.
Or conversely, we have people that still will come to us and say, I want to make $20,000 a month. I'm like, awesome, let's go. What's your marketing budget? And they'll go $2. And my response to that each and every time is tell me a business that makes you 20,000 a month that you only have to put 200 into. Because
Right.
if that exists, I want to do it. And so
Yeah.
will
Right.
everyone, by the way.
Right. Love it. That's great. So who is who, if out there listening, is someone that should pick up the phone and call? Who's your kind of ideal profile or people that you guys want coming in?
Yeah, great question. So we've really got two because our products and services, we've designed it to help everyone go from getting their first deal to people that want to outsource and have a fractional marketing team on staff.
Mhm.
So for the beginners out there, if you're listening, if you just want to get proof of concept, see if being a real estate investor is what's right for you, we've got some products to give you a taste of it, see if it fits. And then if it does, great, we can just turn up the volume for you. All the way through to people that are experienced real estate investors like you guys, or maybe they're a year or two in, they've done a few deals and now they're like, okay, I'm ready to scale, but I
Mhm.
don't necessarily want to add more people to my team and I need to be more process and systems oriented. So come to us, we'll become part of that team without you needing to manage all the resources around it.
Yeah, I love that concept. It is such a, actually, I didn't ask this earlier. I'm curious, like in your company and for your services, are you guys employing your own call center personnel and people,
Yeah.
or working partnerships and outsourcing, or how's that work for you?
We outsource it to a partnership, but we've got a dedicated team just for us. So that's
Mhm.
got over 15 people in it, a quality assurance manager on site, a manager here that's based in the States. Our design and development team, they all work for us. So collectively across all teams, we're sitting at just over 30 people in Supercharged Offers. And yeah, that's a lot to manage, guys. But again, there's a whole bunch, this whole engine sitting behind me that goes into delivering the services to our customers.
Yeah, it is a lot to manage, and this is exactly where I was going with this, is that it's very challenging as small business owners to do that yourself. And so the fractional concept is really wonderful because you don't really need to concern so much with the back end operations in terms of employee turnover or training or calling in sick or all of those things. And so even from your perspective, outsourcing that to someone else is wise. We've gone down both routes, and it's another level of responsibility when you have payroll employees or even dedicated VAs or things like
Yeah.
that, where you're retraining or doing things there. So it is a
Yeah, 100%. That's the right, I'm trying to think of the right word here, but I guess the thing is that someone said to me a while ago, do you want to have a deal desk or a business?
Mhm.
Um, and for me, there's a bit of difference between there, right? And what they were trying to say is, as a real estate investor, what you really want to do is have a deal desk where deals are coming in and you're just transacting deals and things are working really well. To have a business and be a business owner is a different mindset, because then you've got people, systems, payroll, all these other things, marketing that you need to think about. So really, I think it was Ajay Sharma. He and I were having a good chat about this. And he's for people that are solopreneurs that are just doing this business on their own. Unfortunately, there's a lot of educators out there that sell the dream of you can be a real estate investor working 4 hours a day and doing it on your own. But the reality is, you and I know the reality is quite different.
Yeah.
And so really thinking about, I always encourage people to think about, what are you good at and where do you think you can add the most value to your business? Do that. All the other stuff that you need to do that's not the best use of your time or your talents, outsource.
Mhm.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I that was internalized in me in my operations and supply chain days where we were outsourcing a lot of things, and it was, what is your strategic value add as a company and what do you want to rely on others for? And we certainly apply that in our business as well. It's an important concept.
I'm very curious, Alicia, a little bit of a rabbit trail here. You seem extremely involved and full of passion for what you do. What are some things that do you have any practices, daily practices, or things that you do on a regular basis that make you the best version of AJ?
Alicia, thank you, first of all, for recognizing my passion and enthusiasm for this, because I do. And people that know me know that I'm pretty energetic when it comes to, and I am passionate when it comes about to talking about helping people in business and all these things, because I love it. But the reality is it's challenging. We've had ups and downs in our business, like any business owner. And I'll be honest to say that in those tough times, that's when that mindset stuff comes back in. So practicing mindfulness and gratitude. So I do journaling every day. When times are tough, I really dip into motivation and breath work. I'm a big believer of trying to center your nervous system. Am I successful at it every time? No, because I'm human. When it comes to my customers, the thing I always think about is, if you're having a bad day, focus on someone else and not yourself.
Yeah.
That's a daily practice for me too. Like, I'll get on calls with customers. If I'm having a really bad day and the proverbial's hitting the fan, we have a saying in Australia, I'm not too sure if you have it here, but we call it the shit's hitting the fan. It's happening. No one will ever know, because at the end of the day, and this goes for people when they speak to sellers and buyers, right? Whatever's going on in your world, make that person you're talking to number one and the focus in that moment. And very quickly, that changes. Where focus goes, energy flows. If I'm
Mhm.
focused on everything that's wrong, my energy is going to be like, foul. But if I focus on, with Lydia and Mike today, what a great opportunity to talk to some more people, then whoop, up goes the energy. So I think we are all energy and we need to be cognizant of that and constantly manage it. But yeah, it's a challenge. I'm glad you asked that.
It is. Yeah.
It
I
is.
also wanted to, I know we're running close to time here, but I did want to pivot off of that. And we're recording this December 2024. This will drop probably in January 2025. But looking forward, what are you guys looking for in 2025? Kind of just more of what you're doing at scale? Or are there some changes you're looking to make or new opportunities to capture?
They're really exciting for next year. So our main market is real estate investors. We've now added on realtors to that. So we're doing a whole bunch of
Hmm.
programs with realtors and brokers. We're then going to be adding on to that. We've just started now working with roofing people, contractors, HVAC, because guess what, guys? process is still the same. It's just a different market message match.
Yeah.
So we're reaching out into those areas too. And we've also got a potential project on the go that we're building out a platform where properties can be bought, sold, transacted, financed, everything all on the one platform. So that's a huge opportunity we're working on at the moment that we've got fingers crossed for. So yeah, lots on the go, but looking forward to next year. That's for sure.
Sounds like it. Wow.
Exciting.
That's good stuff. You want to close this out?
Yes, we like to end each episode with gratitude. And we'd like to ask you if you have anybody, or it doesn't have to be just one person, that you would like to shout out to, has been instrumental in your journey in your life.
Oh, can I add more than one?
Yes, but less than
Wow.
100.
Okay, that's fine. I'm really grateful for my parents. I'm living over here in the US at the moment, and they have supported me 100% in everything I choose to do in life. And they're my biggest supporters. I don't think I'd be where I are without their love and support and just feeling like I've got that wings behind me. My business partner, Matt, who comes up with a lot of the ideas for products and services that we do, he's like the visionary behind the business, and he is incredibly intelligent. He's never out there publicly though. So interestingly enough, people think that I'm the main person in this business. No, I've got this guy behind me who is absolutely amazing when it comes to ideation, vision, products, services. He's incredible. And lastly for that, I'm going to have a shout out here to a really good friend of mine, Kendall Lejeune. Kendall and I have become really close over the last year or so, and just his ethos and the way that he puts content out to the world to truly help people, and his friendship has meant the world. So yeah, I'll start with those ones.
Love those. That's great. We're certainly
And
grateful
I'm
to
grateful for
you.
you guys, the chat today.
Thank you for that. We are grateful
Yes.
for you for spending an hour with us and
Exactly.
sharing some wisdom and insights, and for the value of service you provide. It really is. It can be super helpful. I'm assuming there's a band of client that it works best for, right? You don't want people that are bootstrapping, shoestringing, that are just really grinding it out. That's a lot of sweat equity. But once you reach a certain level, there's a great service to be had and captured. And
Correct.
we'll certainly be ringing you up with, I think we at least want to test drive, kick the tires on trying to scale here as we get into 2025 as well.
Yes.
But
I'd
thanks so
love to,
much.
guys.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, if we can help you in any way, let us know. What's the best way for people that are interested to hear more to find out more about your programs and or get in touch with you?
Yep. They can just go to superchargedoffers.com. On there, you'll see all of our products and services. You can book some time with us. You can just even email me direct. So Alicia, ALICIA at superchargedoffers.com. Give my team a call, 888-538-5478. Or jump on Facebook. Just go to Supercharged Offers on Facebook. You'll see a whole bunch of customer videos, testimonials, case studies. Yeah, reach out any way you want, guys. We'll be here to help.
Awesome. Well, AJ, thank you so much. Keep crushing it. All the best in 2025. And thanks again for coming on the
Thanks,
show.
guys. Yeah, best to you as well.
For those of you joining us today, we hope you enjoyed this time in the Champions Corner as much as we did. Got some awesome takeaways, and most importantly, will take action to continue living your best life and maximizing your potential. Mindset is such an important aspect of life, and when coupled with action, delivers undeniably powerful results.
Please subscribe to the podcast to hear from more great guests and get the latest mindset mastery insights and cash flow matchups.
Again, thank you so much for investing your time with us, and we look forward to seeing you next time on the Cashflow Fight Club Podcast.